Hello everyone, it's Lawrence here from Unicorn Reviews, and today we'll be looking at a very budget-orientated case, namely the Raijintek Arcadia. Now, this case is only 30 euros, which makes it one of the cheapest cases. There are 25 and 20 euro cases out there, but this one's one of the cheapest out there. But it tries to do that, in normal Raijintek fashion, make it really inexpensive, but also give it a lot of features. The box is just brown. You can't really expect color printed boxes at this price. Get a view of the inside of the case, but you get a better one on the back, so we're just going to go over the sides because this just says what color it is as well. So you just get a product picture. For some reason the fan on the product picture is not the same as the fan that's actually inside the case. This one looks like one of those Noctua airflow fans, but you can see the styling of the side panel, which is extruded, but we'll go into that a little bit more later on. You also get some specs here. I'll just cut a picture in right now, and then you can pause that picture to read the specs if you like it. But main thing is just it's an ATX case. It'll also fit micro ATX and of course DTX, ITX, all that sort of stuff. The front you can put a 120 in the rear. You can also put a 120 in the rear. Actually, it only comes with one fan pre-installed in the rear, of course. You can put whatever length graphics card in, and a 160mm tall CPU cooler. Now, as you can see, I already unboxed it. The packaging material is hard foam, but it's not as terrible. Bear in mind, this case weighs only 4.7 kilograms, box included, so that isn't really a problem then, this packaging, because it is such a light case. So let's move on to the case itself. There we go, it's an image and everything. Let's just tilt it down a little bit. There we go. So on the front, it's very similar to the Argos, except that now the intake style stuff is closed because you have a massive mesh anyway, so you don't really need it. The front I/O, we'll start with that. No, actually we'll just start with the front. So it has two removable 5 1/4 plates. So you just undo them, they come out, and if you keep it open and then you put it in like so, close it, and it's in place. Behind that there are metal pieces which you have to pull out. You can't screw them in again. Actually, yeah, you can screw them in again. That's pretty cool. Top I/O, sadly no front I/O, it's on the top. A very nice sounding power and reset button. The reset button is a bit too deep though, so yeah, but that'll help with hitting it by accident. You get hard drive and power indicator light, and of course USB 2 with an internal header, also USB 3 with an internal header, and then headphone and microphone. Then there's room for two 120s in the top, and it even comes with a dust filter at this price point. So both sides, as you can see, they're pretty much identical, just mirrored. So let's move on to the back. I'm going to bring the camera in a bit closer for this as well. So on the back you have three metal but removable grommets, well, not really grommets, but holes for external water cooling if you're still using that for some reason. It comes with a 120mm pre-installed Raijintek fan, as I said, but you have the possibility to put a 92 or an 80mm fan in. You get 7 PCI extension slots. One of them is already removed because apparently they assume you're going to put at least one expansion card in. And obviously, if you don't put an expansion card in your system, then why not just buy a smaller ITX case? So it doesn't come with toolless stuff here. You have to undo these, and then this bracket just clamps down all of the expansion cards at the same time. We'll try to get that a bit better in image. So this is just like an L-shaped metal plate that clamps everything in place. So on the inside, thumb screws, which you could actually, I only had to undo one with a screwdriver. So still not perfect, but yeah. So these are the side panels. They're painted on both sides, which at this price point can be a bit different. But this really amazes me. For those who saw my review on Corsair 760T, which is 6 times more expensive as this one, there's no flex to it. Well, there's some flex to it, obviously, but by using so many you know, by using so many curves and everything, you make the metal so much stronger, because the metal in this case is only half a millimeter thick. So there's an accessory thingy with a instruction manual, some zip ties, and it came with 2 dust filters, but I pre-installed them because they are a bit of a pain in the ass to install, because they have to clip behind little things everywhere, and yeah, kind of takes quite a while to install them, so I already did that. You get your accessories, I guess, in here. They're just zip tied in, so let's open the back here on camera. A lot of paper tape around it, so just a bunch of screws, and even a speaker for those who still use speakers. I don't use them because, let's face it, you'll know when your PC is not working. You don't need a buzzer to tell you. Front I/O connectors, all nice and black. I really like that. So you get your USB 3, you get USB 2, HD audio without the annoying AC97, I think it's called, thingy that you have to cut off anyway. What else do we have here? We have, of course, power switch, reset switch, and then the power lights and hard drive activity lights. More paper tape here, but whatever. All the motherboard standoffs for ATX are pre-installed, so if you're using this one with an M-ATX board, you have to reposition them, of course. In the front we have our toolless design for our hard drive, so we'll just put a hard drive in and see how easy it goes. So you just slide the hard drive in, line it up with some of the holes, and you then just put this thing in. I put it in a bit too far apparently, so you just put this in and give it a bit of a turn. Never really liked those. As you can see, it's not the easiest thing, but it kind of, for me, I prefer this one to those flimsy caddies, because it is in quite solidly on one side. You will have to take the front panel off, so just give it a good wank and it'll come off, and then you can screw it in from the front of the case. I would actually recommend doing it. It comes with a lot of screws anyway. That kind of does show a little bit of an issue though, because as you can see, you can put a 120mm fan in here, but there's not an awful lot of ventilation options, because it's almost completely blocked here, especially if you put a hard drive in. And this is also pretty much completely covered. So I wouldn't really bother with putting a 120 in the front anyway. What you can do though is, because it also has 3 5¼ inch bays, actually slightly more, because there's ample room above and below it, so you could put a 140mm fan in here actually. Moving on to the back, well, the inside of the back, this is of course your 120mm fan. We'll do a sound test on that in the conclusion, of course. But braided cables on a €30 case. That's just a massive thumbs up here for Raijintek, because I've seen €100 plus cases that still had colored wires everywhere. Just looks really stupid. But this one, you know, it looks cool. I'm pretty pleased with it. Of course, I was already somewhat mind blown with the Argos, because that was €50. Had a lot more features than this one, but kind of makes me want to see Raijintek do something like a Cosmos 2 competitor. You know, just like see how far they can push it with their design. But again, almost no flex to the side panel. But then you get this thing. So this is behind the motherboard tray. I'm kind of happy that there is a behind the motherboard tray anyway. Massive cutout here for your CPU 8-pin. And then again, something that we didn't even have with the 760T, which I really shouldn't be comparing this case to, but it was the last one I did and it's still fresh in my memory. But you get holes here, so if you put a smaller board in, you can route all those ugly cases behind it. Now, as you'll see, there isn't a massive amount of room behind here, but because of the embossing in the side panel, you actually gain about 1 centimeter, maybe even more, because the side panel sticks out so much. And so that way you can just, in a really cheap way, just by stamping a panel, create a lot of extra room. And something that I really like, because it is quite sturdy already, but when you put the side panel on, it will also rest against this, I don't even know what it is. It feels foamy rubber stuff, more foam than rubber though. And so it will just become very, very strong, and you can actually hook cables behind this thing. What I would have liked to see is maybe 3 more zip tie points, because there are a lot of them here. But I would like to see one here, and one here, of course, just to make everything a bit tighter. However, you will have to put your cable from over the CPU cutout, which is, you know, it's big, it's good enough, but it's not massive. So that's pretty much it for this side. Of course, you know, looking at it like this, it's like, where am I going to put my cables? But because again, the embossing in the side panel, there's plenty of room here to put whatever cables you want behind it. You will have to put some, you know, thought into it, but it's not going to be too massive, you know, massively hard. Very light case though. So I'm going to show you guys is the dust filters, because I pre-installed them, but they're not magnetic, they're just very, very thin mesh, but it really just helps, you know, make all the holes in the case a bit less, you know, visible. There's also one here on the power supply, but there are 10 like clips to put it behind, but from all 4 sides. It's kind of fiddly to put it in, but again, once it's in, you know, it'll stay in there for a year, maybe a year and a half before you have to clean it anyway. So in a 30 € case, that's not at all a problem. So I'm now gonna build a system in here, and then we're gonna do a conclusion. Alright guys, time to do a conclusion on the Arcadia. Now, as you can see, it actually looks pretty clean in there. There is an awful lot of room for cable management, way more than you would actually think. Of course, you have to keep in mind it's not, you know, 5 centimeters or something, because it is still a very, very budget-friendly case, but it looks very clean. You can also put all your cables through the front under your hard drive, or you can also go from the back. It doesn't really matter, because the side panels are identical, really. Now, I have to say, I'm just going to do awards right away. Now, I initially, as I said, was going to show you how loud the fan is maxed out, but you can't really hear it. At least not when it's running off the motherboard 12-volt header. So, I mean, you can actually hear that it moves some air, but it's not loud enough to actually make a point of it. So, it's actually really, really good. I'm not going to say it was fun to build in, but it was tolerable. I mean, it's not like you have a 200 € case where you just throw parts at and they install themselves. You do have to put some thought in, and there isn't always enough room behind the motherboard and the motherboard tray in between to route cables through or anything. Also, I thought there was going to be enough room for the audio, HD audio onboard cable to go in between the board and the power supply, but there wasn't, so I had to route it the other way around. But that sort of stuff is what you get with a budget-friendly case. As you can see from the background, probably, I have a Phoenix Prodigy. It's hardly taller than a Prodigy, but this is full ATX, so it's a very compact case and very light. So I guess it's also good to carry around, because it is quite strong. I mean, it is only 0.5 millimeter thick aluminum steel, but it's really strong enough. So it really deserves this gold award. And yeah, if you liked it, press the like button. If you disliked it, press the dislike button. Leave a comment on what you think about the Arcadia, and don't forget to subscribe to Unicorn Reviews. Thank you all very much for watching.